Hello and welcome back to my channel. This beautiful thrifted tablecloth just fell out of the air and I decided to turn it into a bikini cover. I made this one during my trip to Canada because I enjoyed subbing, but my skin doesn't enjoy the sun. I have really weak skin, so I made this quick simple bikini cover to save my skin. The bikini cover has a very simple design. It's basically just an oversized t-shirt. So I put on a t-shirt with a good fit. A hole in it is not required. Then I measured how long I wanted the dress to be. Next, I taped a bunch of papers together so I could use this as pattern paper, and then I folded the sleeves of the t-shirt inside. And now I'm going to copy the shape onto the paper. Once that was done, I added the extra length. For me that's 30 centimeters, but you can add more or less to your liking. Then I measured the pattern to check if it was large enough for me. I wish that I had also done that for the area that will be around my behind, because that came out a little bit too small, but I managed to fix that. That's a spoiler alert for later, but now I just cut the pattern out with a little bit of extra seam allowance. Then I cut a small V neckline. The goal of this alt-tire is to protect me from the sun, so I'm not going to make it too deep, but I don't like clothing that sits around my neck too tight. I'm not going to cut it out yet because I want to use the same pattern for the front and for the back. Then I folded my fabric in half and I laid the pattern piece on it. Decided to use some plates to hold it steady, and then I cut all around it. So I cut the front and the back piece at once. And now it's time to cut out that little V shape in the pattern, and I cut the V into one of the pieces, what will now be the front piece. Then I cut the neckline of both the front and the back piece 2 centimeters or ½ inch lower. And then I zigzag stitched around the edges to prevent them from unraveling. Then I pinned and sewn the two pieces together like it was just a regular t-shirt. So I sewn it on the sides and on the tops. Do not sew the armholes, because if you do that, they will become quite useless. Then I tried the bikini cover on, but I didn't really like the fit. I know that there are a lot of beautiful dresses in this style, but for me it was a little bit too tight around my behind and I wanted to create some more wiggle room. I'm going to do this by adding fabric triangles in the seam. So I marked the place where I wanted the triangle to begin. This is also the place where I wanted the extra wiggle room to start. So I taped together two pieces of paper to create a pattern for this triangle. I drew a line in the same length that I wanted the triangle to be. So the same length where I added the little mark. Then I drew a triangle with a base of 10 centimeters. That's a little less than 8 inches for the lovely inch users watching this video. Then I opened up the seam into the place that I marked so I can add the triangles in later. Now it's time to cut the triangles. I wanted them to match up with the pattern inside this fabric as much as possible. So I laid the dress next to the fabric and I tried to figure it out this way. And I found two pieces that fairly matched the fabric. Then I zigzag stitched around these pieces to prevent them from unraveling. And now it's time to sew them into the seam. So I already opened up the seams. I pinned the triangle in place and then I sewn it and gave it a good press with the ironer. And here is how the triangles look sewn into the dress. I have that little bit more wiggle room and they don't really bother me when I look at the full design. Now I'm going to make butterfly sleeves or circle sleeves. This process is kind of similar to making a full circle skirt. So first I'm going to draw and cut a circle. The length of this circle will be the length of your sleeve. This can be any length that you want. Once I had my circle, I folded it in 4 so I could see the line. And this way I could easily find the middle point. So I marked the middle point. And now I'm going to mark a point 7.5 centimeters. Give me a moment to look how much that is in inch. That is, drumroll please, 2.9 inches. So around 3 inches from the middle point. Then I measured my armhole and I'm going to divide this measurement by 6.28 or double pie. And not a good tasting pie, no, the matte pie. It's the same like you're making a full circle skirt. And once you have this measurement, starting from the 7.5 centimeter point, you draw a second circle. And once you cut this out, you have the pattern for your butterfly sleeve or your full circle. So I'm going to cut this out on a leftover piece of the fabric. I chose this cute part where they have like this duck or whatever it is thing going on. Then I zigzag stitched around the edges to prevent them from unraveling. And I pinned this to the sleeve. You have a big part and a smaller part. The smaller part has to be pinned to the downside of the sleeve and the bigger part has to be pinned to the top of your sleeve. Then I sew this with a straight stitch and I give it a good press with the ironer to make it look more smooth and professional. As a very last step, I'm going to finish the neckline off with some bias tape. I'm going to make this myself out of the leftover fabric. So I cut 2 straps in the same size as the neckline. I added 1 centimeter or 1/4 inch for seam allowance. Then I sewn these 2 straps together and I zigzag stitched all around them to prevent them from unraveling. Now I'm going to turn this strap of fabric magically into bias tape, and that's very easy to do. You first iron it flat and then you fold it double and iron this. This creates a line. Now you fold the 2 sides to this line and you iron this too. Next you fold the strap double and you iron this, and then you have your base tape or just a folded piece of fabric that you can easily fold over the edge or whatever it is that you want to finish. So I folded my bias tape over the edge, I pinned it in place and then I sewn it as neatly as possible with a simple straight stitch. Here you have a reminder on how this piece of fabric looked before I cut into it. And here is the finished swimsuit cover, bikini cover, beach cover, however you want to call this. I had a lot of fun making this. I also had a lot of fun using it while subbing, and my skin was very grateful. Especially my shoulders, because that is where I always burn. Okay, thank you so much for watching this all the way until the end. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you want to. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!